Hey, I look at it like this. Any character that can manipulate energy to the point where you manipulate frequencies that allow you to hit intangible beings, those are the most scary type of characters. That's basically what Radioactive Man can do. He can help counter these intangible type beings. That's scary. Oh boy. And other sides of him, you probably didn't recognize. He kind of likes Songbird. You know, he's been working with her a lot, so it makes sense. Are you guys tired of very strong energy projectors? I'm not. Let's talk about Radioactive Man. He's one of those characters that appears less than certain characters, but that doesn't change the fact he's mighty. I mean, he's a being dubbed narrated threat level extreme. His powers are quote unquote stated to be strength, invulnerability, radiation, emission. First of all, when handbooks talk about his muscle, they completely undersell how strong he is. You know how they do this ton class system? Let's not take that word ton serious. They try to say he's in a 2-ton class, but bare minimally, we know he can lift at least 2 tons. But even with that low ball, it's still confirmed he can lift cars with his just raw muscle. That kind of strength is believable when you see how easily he can lift up normal sized humans. I mean, he's out here catching crates that are literally a ton. It's proven he can lift more than a ton or even more than 2 tons. He can lift up forklifts, not only lift it, but throw it. Usually when you lift something that's super heavy and it's close to your max, you can't throw it. But the fact that he can throw it lets you know it's not nowhere near his limit. Lift barrels this big and throw large objects, throw things this large in the air. The thing I find funny, this happens a lot in Marvel videos, that they say his strength is a 4 out of 7, right? But then they also say 2-tonner. Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Most people that are 4 out of 7 in Marvel handbooks usually are higher than just 2-tonner range. Usually vampire tiers are usually considered in the 4 out of 7 range. Same with Spider-Man level beings. They're usually 4 out of 7. Peter or Miles being a 4 out of 7, being able to lift at least 10 tons. So it's weird that they said 2 tons and usually they say 10 tons. So yeah, that's how you know you just can't take them numbers too seriously. Just say class. Interesting that these quote unquote 10 tonners, they say they can lift 10 tons, but we literally see these quote unquote 10 tonners do way more impressive stuff than just lifting 10 tons. Like we literally see these characters lift 60-ton tanks. So obviously 10 tons isn't their limit. It's a class system. There isn't really any reason on why Radioactive Man couldn't do this too. Radioactive Man lifting up a tank seems very believable when you realize he can increase his actual mass, increase his size to get bigger while being this big. So when I say he can lift up tanks and he can get this freaking big compared to normal beings, it's very believable. Or if you want to say he didn't get big, he could just make a whole giant form of himself out of radiation. But still, regardless of this, quote unquote 10-tonner class people that are only 4 out of 7 in strength, according to Marvel, and they say they can only lift 10 tons, which we know they can lift more because I already showed that. These same characters that are in this class range have shown to be able to lift thousands of tons. Yes, I'm talking about Spider-Man tiers that are in the 4 out of 7 range, being able to lift heavier stuff than this. I'm talking about supporting some of the weight of the Daily Bugle building, which can weigh over hundreds of thousands of tons. Even if these characters can't support the full weight, that would still have to be thousands of tons, even if we assumed 1% of this, even if we lowball it. The Radioactive Man being able to lift thousands of tons is very believable. Shouldn't he be able to do that? I believe he could. But if you have your doubts, he can literally push hundreds of thousands of tons themselves, like literally pushing a cruise ship. In this occasion, he was trying to crush Iron Man by moving a cruise ship. I would say this kind of adds on to the fact that, yeah, he probably can lift over thousands of tons. We see him literally moving cruise ships. I know he just pushed it, but still. Yeah, my money's on the fact he probably can lift over hundreds of thousands of tons. With all this strength, it only makes sense for his punches, or heck, even his blasts to be hard. It's expected. We've seen him blast away crates or web, thick machinery. It doesn't help when you're close to him. Spider-Man tears get weakened anyway. Showing his heat projection, he's melting bullets fired at him before they even reach, melting the ground. Torpedoes, casings get melted. Containers meant to hold him, he busts through. He can come in handy by cauterizing wounds. He's the one that can cause massive explosions. He can incinerate guns. By the way, he has mouth blast attacks that are radiation, and he can melt Deadpool's face off, Super Soldier T's face off. He can blast you through trucks, straight up blast away the building he was in. Why do you think he's able to blast away spaceships? Yeah, and blast a clean hole through a scroll. He can withstand hits from beings that can get building size too, by the way, like Giant Man, so he's durable enough to take this kind of stuff. You could probably throw a building on him and he would eat it. He's taking repulsor blasts and drilling through concrete. I mean, you could even say his punches are even worse. Iron Man believes his hits feel like a 10 megaton nuke in his fist, which may sound like just a statement and he's exaggerating. I don't think this is, considering Radioactive Man straight up says he can blow up like an H-bomb, blow up the whole city. Nuke-like statements is a normal thing when they're talking about his power overall or blast power. His fist definitely should be nukish or higher. Just to give you some visual numbers on what 10 megatons is, it's equal to 10 million regular tons, 20 billion pounds. That's a lot of weight behind his hits. There's statements of him giving off his energy they talk about is comparable to an atomic bomb. I mean, matter of fact, on this occasion when he landed, he released an atomic explosion. So yeah, he can literally produce nuke-like energy. And then the scary thing about his power, since he's all about that radiation, you could say he can kind of give himself temporary power-ups depending on the situation, because he can literally absorb energy and increase his blast power. He can absorb and redirect radiation that would have incinerated everybody else. He can actually absorb a low-yield nuclear bomb before it has a chance to disperse. And he did it. So yeah, he can absorb that energy and redirect the same energy. So he can kind of change tiers based on his energy he absorbs, you could say. Like seriously, there's some insane power sources in Marvel. Energy sources like gamma mutate beings like She-Hulk and him. Like, this is craziness. Matter of fact, he said it himself. He admitted that She-Hulk has the muscle advantage, but that doesn't matter. Via hacks, he can kind of drain her, literally depowering a She-Hulk type character. So if at first he isn't a threat for your favorite powerhouses, he can kind of get to those levels. His durability can withstand hits from She-Hulk too, and get back up, even after being punched. I mean, if you don't believe me, let's look at the weight of his hits, doing this to Iron Man, hitting him away, punching him into the ground. Iron Man says his blast power is so great that his own shields have never taken so much punishment before. Iron Man, Titanium Man, we see him box this guy to the ground too. He has powerful shields he can use to blast Titanium Man and Crimson Dynamo off of him, blasting these guys away. If the shield he can make is any indication of his blast power, that would further prove he can destroy planets and stars. He can literally shield from Captain Marvel level beings, Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel level beings. Captain Marvel level beings can literally blast a hole in a star. And Radioactive Man can shield from this. If he can blast with similar force of this shield, this would change everything about him. He would not only possibly be able to destroy planets, but also destroy even stars or blast holes in stars. I mean, there's even moments where he has implied team busting type blasts on what he did to Venom, Penance, and etc. here. With a blast, I mean, sure, this could be radiation hacks, but there's also implications he just blasted with blunt concussive force, so it's both hacksy and radiation. I mean, we actually seen him get in fist fights with one of the heaviest hitters in Marvel's, Namor himself, which is actually insane. It's even mentioned how you can just dehydrate Namor and it should weaken him enough, but at this moment he says, oh, I don't want to do that, so he wants to fight him, just fight him, wants him to suffer. He's boxing with beings that is constantly battling planet buster type beings like Namor. Hey, you know Namor's built different when he's constantly giving Hulk tears a run for the money in just fist fights or muscle. This is the same Hulk that can punch away asteroids 2 times the size of Earth and clap away universes, y'all. And I'm here to tell you that Namor has given Hulk a run for the money a lot of times in his history, and guess what? We've seen Radioactive Man give Namor some serious issues, even starting to burn him here, so he can give him issues via getting stronger because he can absorb energy, burn him via hacks. You know, he's a perfect counter to Namor because of the hydration stuff. You know, based on the way this character is written, he can definitely get up to those power levels needed to be able to destroy planets, galaxies, universes, stuff like that, because that's what Marvel heavy hitters can do. If you have your doubts about him being able to get up to those levels to destroy stars, well, if he's not glazing or overreacting about himself being able to absorb literally infinite energy without injuring himself, he can really jump to any tier you can think of. Like, he could theoretically just absorb an infinite amount of energy, produce that energy outward, and just become like a walking Big Bang of radiation or some crap. Because he can not only absorb that energy, but he can blast with that same energy he absorbs outwardly, redirect it. So yeah, if he absorbed like an infinite amount of energy and just blasted it outward, it would get crazy. Marvel has their own Superman that blasted Radioactive Man. He can straight up disrupt his abilities, Haxy type way, and suck him dry. So if he can't necessarily reach their level of power the normal way, he can kind of cheat, just suck them dry, drain them, win that way without even winning because of raw power. I mean, I'm talking about Hyperion can box with the heaviest of the heaviest like Hulk. I mean, Hyperions are strong beings in Marvel, like a lot of strong characters that are durable enough to withstand and survive a universe's collapsing, everything except him. These are the kind of beings Radioactive Man can take on. Are you serious? Usually beings this durable usually have resistance to hacks, but the fact he still can drain top tiers or higher ends at Marvel like that, it lets you know what scope of power he can do when it comes to this energy absorption stuff. His shield isn't just powerful enough to keep gas away, but even strike from literal thunder gods like Thor himself. Mjolnir throws, he's just completely countering him. This guy's like making a joke of Thor, y'all. Like, he ain't one of the strongest gods in the Marvel universe ever. Like, it's getting so bad, this is getting embarrassing. This is not a hacksy thing. it's talked about how his energy fields are strong enough to deflect your hammer anywhere I want it. He's constantly reminding Thor that you can't break through his shield with a hammer throw. Like, yo, just a friendly reminder that Mjolnir hits can hit with similar force to big bangs when they're clashing with each other. When two Thor tier beings are fighting each other, they can hit hard enough their energies erupt simultaneously across all planes of reality. Their shockwaves can go across the whole universe. These Thor tier beings can literally shake the entire cosmos, universes, or universe. Yet he's over here, Radioactive Man is over here shielding from Thor like he ain't that freaking strong. And this isn't even really hacks. This is just straight up shielding being this durable. So if this shielding goes for his blast power too, this would say a lot about Radioactive Man. I'm inclined to believe that Radioactive Man can blast outwards like the way he shields with, because when you look at occasions like Nova, a powerhouse in Marvel 2, you can visually see that Nova and Thor isn't an easy fight for either of them. They can hurt each other, damage each other, strike each other. Nova can withstand hits via his durability from Thor. This is important when it comes to talking about Radioactive Man, because we see Radioactive Man's blast power affect Nova. They even narrate this far. They're saying electromagnetic radiation pressure wave. The Centurion armor is ray shielded. You have not been contaminated. However, unable to compensate for impact effect. They're implying that blunt type of attacks is damaging Nova tier level beings. Being I just showed you box with Thor, beings that can shake the literal universe. Wouldn't this imply he can blast with crazy force just like his shield if he can damage beings like Nova with blunt power, not hacks? The pressure he was blasting Nova with kind of made him kind of groggy. So now you kind of understand why him being able to react to these beings has to be not just a shielding feat, but blast power feats as well. Kind of a low-key heavy hitter. But you're probably thinking, oh, he ain't that strong. His strength is only a 4 out of 7. How can he fight beings like Thor if his strength is only a 4 out of 7? Well, his strength is only a 4 out of 7, but look what his other stats are. Durability, a 6 out of 7. Energy projection, a 6 out of 7. His energy projection blast power is implied to be worse than his strength, so his strength on top of his blast power, it kind of adds up. Not to mention you can't take these as Bible. There's a whole bunch of problems with these anyway. Just because this isn't high doesn't mean these kind of stats didn't make up for what he might lack there. He's got crazy blasts. That's the thing he specializes in. They even show his occasions with Thor in the straight up handbook to show he's something serious. In newer comics, we see him affect Thor still, but I do want to make it clear that I wouldn't necessarily say he's on par with especially current Thor, especially him as an all-father, but the fact he still can kind of affect him is still kind of cool. But Thor got some crazy power-ups over the years though. They have to fight him as a group. Radioactive Man being part of the group. So yeah, I'm not trying to say he's up there with all father, Sky Father Thor, because it's implied when this Thor doesn't hold back, he can like team bust all these beings, including Radioactive Man. So I'm going to make that clear. I mean, he's consistently boxing beings that are way faster than the speed of light. Like in this video, Thor level characters, they can't just speed blitz him, right? If they could, why didn't they do it here when Nova was flying at him? He was able to react in time before getting blitzed. I know I've told you a lot of stuff throughout this video so far, but he's a Chinese nuclear physicist. During a war, of course, he was asked to basically find a way to defeat Thor. They expected him to make a weapon, but instead of making a weapon, he said, why shouldn't I myself become the Radioactive Man, planning to be the weapon himself, being super powerful. And these panels pretty much speak for themselves. That's how he evolved, became a radioactive man, mutating himself basically into a mighty weapon. Thanks to this, he can sense anomalies. He can sense or feel bioorganic radiation, meaning he can scan living beings. In this particular situation being Spider-Man, he will literally scan areas to try to find beings. So yeah, he can just straight up super sense. You can't fool him with different mists. He can tell the difference between different mists. He can basically adapt to unique things that allow him to sense tachyon particles. He can generate microwaves. Technological like battle suits are not good against him. He can produce EMPs, electromagnetic pulse. Obviously, if you made it this far in the video, you know he's an energy projector. He can just straight up produce a massive light to hurt your eyes. He can straight up go ultraviolet, aka go invisible by manipulating light. He can give off energy to mess up signals so people can't really communicate that good. The energy he's emitting will wreak havoc with your radios. He can disrupt those kind of signals, but he can also disrupt psionic signals too with his energy. Mess up a hive mind, basically. It's implied his radiation can weaken the Venom symbiote. Imagine trying to use radiation on him. You're just wasting your time. He absorbs that energy, y'all. Why would you throw acid on him and only messes up his clothes? A being known as a walking pile of toxic waste, he absorbed the radiation of this being. He can kind of absorb heat too. One of the smartest characters ever, Reed Richards, even says he can assimilate and manipulate a wide range of hazardous radioactive energy. Hypnotize beings? Like what? He manipulates radiation along the entire spectrum, implying here in this particular situation, he can enhance or amp other energy absorber projector type characters. You can say that's why he can disrupt cohesion to single-celled organisms. He can do some Green Lantern stuff, create his own energy tendrils. That's why he's able to make his own small army of warriors to fight for him. He can move radiated heat from explosions somehow. And just in case you made it this far in the video and you're still clueless, he's bulletproof and sword proof. It seems like trying to beat him with elements is a waste of time because he says the elements are his to control. Not even lightning bolts can hurt him. He laughs at all. He can irradiate beings with a poison pill and produce a form of radiation poisoning somehow spreading from person to person, being a plague on Atlantis. It seems pretty clear that Radioactive Man can breathe underwater because they said we got suits for y'all that need him, but when everybody got out, it didn't seem like he needed it. Like he's just literally walking around like nothing, like it ain't no big deal. I guess when you really dig deep into his lore, you can tell in this video he's mighty, but I guess you could say one of his weaknesses is that he's kind of a menace to society. He needs a suit to keep his radiation down from being harmful because it's always on apparently. I guess he can be a threat for civilians or even his own teammates. He can dampen his power with conscious effort, but he normally leaks residual radiation at a rate of roughly millirads per hour. The average American is exposed to roughly 150 millirads per year. So just imagine how much he's putting out. He's producing over 2,000 times the amount you should be exposed to, honestly. That's why his costume contains a device that dampens his ongoing emission to extremely low levels, making it safe for unshielded people to be in his presence indefinitely. This no radiation body harness, thanks to his intellect, was designed by himself and modified by Zemo. So his intelligence along with these crazy powers help him out. I would say, hey, look, like he said himself, everybody knows atomic power can be limitlessly destructive. How impressive do you think Radioactive Man is? What did you learn new about Radioactive Man? Did you know he was this scary? Yeah, he's kind of scary. Thanks for the donations. Like, share, subscribe.